Hi everyone, this is Imaya from Mockat. With this video, we are going to be starting the monthly recap news series for your WAT-PI. We'll be covering 6 to 10 top news events that happened during a particular month, starting from December 2023 all the way up to January 2023. We'll also be releasing a video with the top news events that happened during the entirety of 2023 to give you a more comprehensive idea of the whole year, and doing separate shorter videos dealing in depth with events of major importance. Get daily curated news. You can also check out our daily news series provided in the link below. Some of the most important events that happen in the world and in India are COP28, the Red Sea crisis, the RBI-MPC meeting, the UN-Gaza Resolution, the half-yearly economic review report, BCCI announcing a Tier 2 white ball tournament, and the Supreme Court upholding the abrogation of Article 370. First, let's look at the COP28, which was held in Dubai. COP28. The Conference of the Parties, COP, is the annual meeting of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. It brings together governments, civil society, and other stakeholders to discuss and negotiate actions to address climate change. COP28 was recently held in Dubai and saw a record number of delegates registered. The aim was to build on the commitments made at previous COPs and to accelerate action on climate change. Some of the key issues on the agenda included increasing ambition on emissions reduction, climate finance, and adaptation. This year's COP was seen as a critical moment to build on the progress made so far and to drive more ambitious action to tackle the climate crisis. Convened on November 30, 2023, the summit in Dubai concluded on December 12, 2023. Notably, the summit's president, Sultan Al Jaber, was the chief executive of the state-owned oil company in Dubai. The delegates in the committee delivered a groundbreaking agreement urging nations to transition away from fossil fuels to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. This was criticized for its relatively weak language on transitioning. Concerns were raised about the exclusion of small island nations from the decision-making process. Additionally, the deal lacked specifics on financial responsibilities of developed nations in assisting developing counterparts and lacked fine timescale. Some of the other key objectives and outcomes were: a global commitment emerged to adopt more sustainable agricultural practices, reduce carbon emissions in the food system, and promote food security, aligning with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. COP28 marked a significant step with a non-binding declaration addressing climate resilience in vulnerable countries and communities, particularly those impacted by conflict and humanitarian crisis. This was the first time the conference acknowledged the intersectionality of climate problems with socio-political identities. The Red Sea crisis. Since late November, Houthi rebels in Yemen have targeted commercial vessels, notably those linked to Israel, in the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. This is a vital trade route between the Arabian Peninsula and the Horn of Africa. According to the rebels, the attacks were launched in response to Israel's actions in Gaza, and the Houthis expressed their aim to thwart Israeli interests. The Bab el-Mandeb Strait is critical to global trade, facilitating about 12% of worldwide trade, including containerized goods and vital oil shipments from the Persian Gulf to Europe and North America. The Suez Canal, connected to this strait, handles 10 to 15% of world trade and 30% of global container shipping volumes. Now, due to the heightened risks in the region, many ships are avoiding the route and opting for the longer route around Africa, incurring up to $1 million in extra fuel costs per round trip. Rising insurance costs are contributing to the overall expense, potentially leading to inflation. Many feel that the prolonged closure of the waterway could disrupt global supply chains, raising prices of manufactured goods at a crucial moment in the fight against inflation. In response, a US-led operation called Prosperity Guardian aims to safeguard passage through the network. On December 31, 2023, an attempted hijacking led to a confrontation with US helicopters, resulting in the sinking of 3 Houthi boats and the deaths of 10 fighters. Goldman Sachs estimates a significant impact on global container trade. The Reserve Bank of India's Monetary Policy Committee consists of 6 members, both external and internal RBI officials, which convened from December 6 to December 8, 2023. The Monetary Policy Committee is responsible for setting the benchmark interest rate known as the repo rate, which influences the cost of borrowing in the economy. In 2023, the MPC minutes highlighted concerns about domestic food inflation unpredictability, volatile crude oil prices, and financial market fluctuations amid an uncertain global environment. Emphasizing an actively disinflationary stance, the central bank aims to ally inflation with the 4% target. In response to inflationary concerns, the RBI opted to maintain the benchmark interest rate at 6.5%. The central bank expressed a commitment to sustain the path of disinflation. The MPC also recognized the risk of food price shocks and weather related changes impacting inflation. The committee pledged careful monitoring to prevent the generalization of food price pressures that could undermine progress in easing core inflation. Finally, the RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das asserted that the Indian economy displayed resilience and momentum despite geopolitical risks and market volatility. Noting the period from 2020 to 2023 as a great volatility, Das cited higher than anticipated GDP growth as evidence of the economy's strength. The UN Security Council adopted a resolution focusing on expediting aid deliveries to hungry civilians in Gaza. Notably, the original plea for an urgent suspension of hostilities between Israel and Hamas was excluded from the final text. The US chose to abstain from voting on this resolution to prevent a veto, while Russia sought stronger language in the resolution. Some viewed this resolution positively, but critics pointed out its perceived ineffectiveness with its long period of deliberation and finally coming to a conclusion that lacked urgent action. Apart from aid delivery, the resolution covered humanitarian assistance and the release of hostages. The US again vetoed a Russian amendment attempting to reintroduce the immediate suspension of hostilities. Various parties, including Hamas and Israel, criticized this as well. Its shortcomings, particularly the absence of a call for an immediate halt to hostilities, fueled discontent among stakeholders. However, the UN Secretary General emphasized the necessity for a humanitarian ceasefire, highlighting challenges in aid distribution in Gaza. The resolution's limited impact raised concerns about addressing the broader issue of conflict in the region. The half-yearly economic review report, which was released on December 29 of 2023. The half-yearly economic report is a document released by the Ministry of Finance that provides an overview of the economic performance of the country over the past 6 months. Key outlooks in the report. India's economy is poised to exceed the government's projected growth of 6.5% in financial year 2024 as indicated in the report. The momentum gained in the second quarter is expected to persist into the December quarter along with sustained growth in consumption demand. The report highlights a healthy 7.7% growth in real GDP during the first half of financial year 24, following a 7.6 expansion in quarter 2. Strong domestic consumption and investment are cited as key drivers, with private final consumption expenditure growing by 4.5%. The ministry attributes the growth to robust domestic consumption and investment, emphasizing the emergence of India as the fastest growing major economy in financial year 24. Various domestic and international agencies have upgraded GDP growth projections of financial year 24 based on these positive indicators. The report also notes optimism for India's external sector given the relatively stable Indian rupee and sufficient foreign exchange reserves. On the inflation front, a declining trend is observed with the headline inflation projection to average at 5.4% in financial year 24 despite temporary disruptions from food prices. Government revenue collections from April to October 2023 demonstrate a robust performance, with the next tax revenue rising by 11.2% year on year to reach 13 lakh crore rupees. Direct taxes show significant growth, including a 17.4% year on year increase in corporate taxes and over 30% in personal income taxes. Merchandise exports reduced by 8.8% during financial year 24, with shifts in exports to various countries. However, India's overall trade deficit reduced to nearly half at $39.9 billion in financial year 24 compared to $75.3 billion in financial year 23, indicating improved trade dynamics. The BCCI announces a Tier 2 white ball tournament. The BCCI plans to introduce a Tier 2 cricket league, potentially in the T10 format. The league's blueprint is already in development and a possible launch is anticipated in September or October 2024. Various stakeholders have responded positively to this idea. In this time of deliberation, the BCCI is considering whether to proceed with the T10 format or opt for the T20 version itself. An age cap is being discussed to prevent any adverse impact on the already established IPL property. Deliberations also include offering IPL franchise owners the right to refusal before opening tenders for the new league. This Tier 2 league aims to complement existing cricket formats and engage a broader pool of players. The consideration of format and regulations reflects BCCI's efforts to balance innovation with protecting existing cricket properties. Deliberations also include offering IPL franchise owners. The BCCI plans to introduce a Tier 2 cricket league, potentially in the T20 format. The league's blueprint is already in development and a possible launch is anticipated in September or October of 2024. Various stakeholders have responded positively to the idea. Some of the key considerations that BCCI is deliberating upon is an age cap is being discussed to prevent any adverse impact on the already established IPL property. Deliberations also include offering IPL franchise owners the right to refusal before opening tenders for the new league. This Tier 2 league aims to complement existing cricket formats and engage a broader pool of players. The Supreme Court's ruling on the abrogation of Article 370. On December 11, 2023, a constitution bench of the Supreme Court unanimously upheld the President's power to abrogate Article 370, leading to the reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir into two union territories in August 2019. The court declared Article 370 as a temporary provision meant to be removed upon the completion of J&K's constitutional integration with India. The President of India is authorized to abrogate Article 370 independently, and the court found no procedural fault in the process. Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud emphasized that J&K had no internal sovereignty and compared Article 370's special status to other Indian states' provisions in the Constitution. The judgment did not address whether the union government can unilaterally convert a state into a union territory or engage with the challenge to J&K's statehood loss in 2019. The court ruled that the creation of the Union Territory of Ladakh from J&K was permissible under Article 3 of the Constitution. Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul recommended establishing a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to investigate human rights violations in J&K since the 1980s and recommend reconciliation measures. The decision is significant, settling the constitutional aspects of Article 370 and the reorganization of J&K, impacting its special rights and privileges. Justice Kaul's recommendation for a Truth and Reconciliation Commission reflects the acknowledgement of historical issues and the need for a comprehensive approach to address human rights violation in the region. This is it for this video. Please stay tuned for the rest of the news series, in which we'll be releasing videos at least once or twice a week. If you found this video helpful, please like this video and subscribe to the channel below. Thank you and see you in the next video.